Hi mathematicians, Mrs. Post here. Today is April 16th and we're going to continue working with radicals and their operations. Today we're going to work on multiplying radicals some more, and we're going to bring back FOILing and distribution, but we're going to do it with square roots or with radicals. Before we go into today's lesson, I want to go over your assignment from yesterday. And here are the answers to the assignment from yesterday, so if you need to pause the video, you can. These are the solutions. For number one, you should have simplified every single one of those three terms and gotten them. That's not right. Gotten them. You should have rewritten them so they all had the same radicand. So in this case, they all should have had a radicand of 2. So you would have had 3 times the square root of 2 plus 5 times the square root of 2 minus 8 times the square root of 2. When you combined like terms, or whenever you combined like radicals, because at this point they're all square root of 2's, you would have added the 3 to the 5 and then subtracted 8, and that would have given you 0. So that's okay. So you could have easily written this solution as 0 times the square root of 2, but you guys should remember that anything times 0 is 0. So technically the answer is 0 for number 1. Number 2, continue on with the same process. You have a square root of 20. You should have written that as 2 times the square root of 5. And then you had to add that to the square root of 125. You can rewrite 125 as 5 times the square root of 5. And then your third term was a square root of 45, which you can rewrite as 3 times the square root of 5. So you guys are going to take your coefficients and combine them because you all have the same radicand now of square root of 5. So 2 plus 5 is 7, and then take away 3 is 4. So you should have ended up with 4 times the square root of 5. So you just write that radicand one time, just like as if you had 2x plus 5x minus 3x. You would have written 4x. Number 3, you should have been able to simplify the square root of 300 pretty quickly because you know that 300 is the same as 3 times 100, and the square root of 100 is 10. So it would be 10 times the square root of 3. Minus the square root of 27, which you can rewrite as minus 3 times the square root of 3. And then minus the square root of 75, which you can rewrite as minus 5 times the square root of 3. So now you have a radicand, or like radicals, with the square root of 3. So you guys can combine like terms. You guys can add the 10 and the 3 and the 5, the 10 and the negative 3 and the negative 5. So when you combine all those, you would have gotten 2 times the square root of 3. So that would be your final answer for number 3. If you guys wanted to go ahead and try number 4, which I wanted you to go ahead and try it, see if you could rewrite these cube roots written. The cube root of 81 rewritten is 3 times the cube root of 3. And then the cube root of 24 rewritten, you guys could rewrite that, reducing what's on the inside to 2 times the cube root of 3. And if you guys were to multiply them, which is what we're going to continue working on today, you multiply what's on the outside together with what's on the inside together. So the numbers on the outside are 3 times 2, which is 6. And what's on the inside is the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which gives you the square root of 9. You have to stop there because the cube root of 9 is not 3. That would be a square root of 9. So you guys just have to stop right there. All right, so today we're going to continue multiplying these. We're going to work on 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You do have an exit ticket today. It is a Mastery 5-point exit ticket. I want you guys to make sure you're following along. It's kind of a fun exit ticket. It's in a different program I want you guys to try using. I haven't used it here. I've only used it when I used to teach at Florida Virtual School. So I want you guys to try this. It's the first time I've used it this year. So actually, I'm going to show you how to do it at the end of the lesson. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to the notes. So at this point, go ahead and open up your guided notes that are attached to the assignment. If you need to pause the video, you can do that. So we're basically going to bring back foiling, and we're going to bring back distribution. Sometimes you guys don't call it FOIL. Most of you do. Sometimes you guys use the box method. Sometimes you call it double distribution. Sometimes you call it distribution. So we're just going to multiply these radicals just like we've been doing with any other kind of binomial. So these are like binomial radicals. Except for this first one, we're going to start kind of small. Example number 1, I like it because it's an area problem, but it doesn't matter because the math is still the same. So we're going to find the area of this rectangle. So I wanted you guys to know that you have one side of your rectangle that is a square root of 6, and you have another side of your rectangle that is 8 plus a square root of 3. So you have the measurements of your rectangle. And I want to go over the area formula with you. Guys, hopefully you remember that the area of a rectangle is area equals length times width. And so you guys are just going to multiply the two sides together. I'm going to go ahead and get my pen working, so hang on just a minute. I'm going to pause the video, and if you guys need to do so to get out your notes, either write them in your notebook or write on the screen or print it out, whatever works best for you guys. Okay, so I had to go ahead and save this file as a PDF so I could go ahead and edit it. So remember that the area of a rectangle is just multiplying the two sides together. So you have one side here, the square root of 6, and you have your other measurement here, 8 plus a square root of 3. So I'm just going to do that. It doesn't really matter, multiplication, the order doesn't matter. We can call this our length if you want. We can call this our width if you want. So the square root of 6 will be my length. So I'll call that the square root of 6. And then we're going to multiply that times the width, which we have as 8 plus the square root of 3. So we're just going to basically distribute here, just like you guys have been doing for many, many years. We're going to distribute that square root of 6. So we're going to multiply square root of 6 times 8, and then we're going to take that square root of 6, and we're also going to multiply it to the square root of 3. And this is, they're all positive, so you can use addition here. That'll be the square root of 6 times the square root of 3. So whenever you multiply here, this 8 is not a radicand, so it just goes on the outside, so it'll be 8 times the square root of 6. Usually that's how you write it, right? You usually don't write the coefficient on the right, usually write it to the left. And then over here you have, we're going to add that to the square root of 6 times the square root of 3. And hopefully you guys will look at it like 6 times the square root of 3. But hopefully you guys remember that this 6 is actually 2 times 3, right? So now when you look at it, you actually have two sets of 3's, right? You have 2 times 3 times 3. So just a reminder, you go ahead and simplify that down. So you have 8 times the square root of 6. You can't change that. That's just 2 times 3. There's no double numbers there. And you can see that we can pull out that 3 and leave a 2 on the inside. And that's it. So the area is 8 times the square root of 6 plus 3 times the square root of 2. And I think this was technically, I think I had written this where this was supposed to be like feet. This was supposed to be feet. So technically it's feet squared. But yeah, there you go. So that's the area. So all we did was just do regular distribution, but just remember you multiply the numbers with the numbers and then the radicands with the radicands. Okay, what's on the inside with what's on the inside. And then you can simplify it if you can. Like right here, we tried to simplify that 6 times 3, which is 18, which is 2 times 9. The square root of 9 is 3. Okay, so just everything, it doesn't really matter how you rewrite that. All right, let's go ahead and try another one. Same process here. We're going to FOIL this one out. So let's go ahead and get started here. You guys should see that your very first step should be to multiply the first terms together. So you're going to have 2 times the square root of 2 times 3 times the square root of 7. Okay? And then you're going to do it again. Then you're going to multiply the two terms on the outside. So then you're going to have, this is a negative 5, so I'm going to use a negative right here. This will be, actually, how did I write it earlier? I wrote it as a positive 2, because I'm sorry, the 2 is positive. It doesn't really matter. It'll be negative when we're done, but just a little tip. So this is 2 times the square root of 2 times this negative 5 over here. So just don't forget that is a negative 5, okay? We're going to keep going. We're going to then multiply our two numbers on the inside right here. So you're going to have a negative square root of 7 times a positive 3 times the square root of 7. We got one more to go. And then we have our last terms we have to multiply. So then once again, you have that negative square root of 7. We're going to multiply that times a negative 5. All right. So since they're all square roots, all the indexes are the same. They're all index of 2. They're just all basic square roots. You just go ahead and multiply what's on the outside with what's on the outside. This is actually going to be 2 times 3 is actually going to give you 6. times the square root of, this is 2 times 7, so that's 14. You can't really simplify that, so I'm just going to write it out like that. If you need me to actually erase that, I can, if you would like me to make that a little bit more, I can make this an extra step if that's easier for you guys. So you just multiplied 2 times 3, which gave you 6. And then 2 times 7, which gave you, oops, I was going to write that for you, 2 times 7. All right, let's go ahead and look at our next victim here. You have 2 times the square root of 2 times -5. So 2 times -5 should give you -10, and then that would be a square root of 2. Okay, let's do the next one. So we have negative square root of 7 times 3 times the square root of 7. Remember, theirs is like a coefficient of -1. So -1 times 3 will give you -3. And then hopefully you guys will notice that's actually 7 times 7, which is actually 49, which is really 7, right? The square root of 49 is actually 7. So we're going to simplify that down on the next step. The last but not least, you have a negative square root of 7 times a -5. When you multiply a negative times a negative, it should give you a positive 5. And this is times the square root of 7. So we'll go ahead and simplify a little bit more. So this is 6 times the square root of 14. You can't change that. It's just 2 and 7. They're both prime. Minus 10 times the square root of 2. You can't reduce 2. 2 is prime. And then this is going to be minus 3 times the square root of 7 times 7 is square root of 49, which is 7. So that's actually 7. Not the square root of 7 times 7, it's 7. And then plus 5 times the square root of 7 over here. I'm just going to like write that out a little bit neater. So 6 times the square root of 14 minus 10 times the square root of 2 minus 21 plus 5 times the square root of 7. And if you could combine anything, you would want to go ahead and do that, but I don't see anything that you could. Can I use my highlighter here? I feel like it never wants to work. I don't know why the highlighter doesn't like to work. What's the reason? So strange. Anyway. All right, so I'll just kind of do here with the yellow. Oops, not going to write either. Oh, great. Well, anyway, that was your final answer. That was a little messy. So there you go. So it's just like regular foiling. I want you guys to go ahead and try example 3. Pause the video, try example 3, and let's see if you guys got the same thing. So you're going to multiply everything on the outside. You're just going to distribute. So you're going to FOIL, or you can call it double distribution, just like we did in the last one. All right. So take a moment, pause the video, and let's see what you guys get. All right, so I went ahead and I color coded this. So you guys will notice when I multiplied the first 2 terms together, you had 7 times the square root of 2 times another 7 times the square root of 2. They're the same, that's okay. And then I went ahead and multiplied the outer terms. So then in green, I multiplied 7 times the square root of 2 times 3 times the square root of 3. And then we did the inner terms. So we had in orange, we had -3 times the square root of 3 times 7 times the square root of 2. And then last but not least, we had our last terms, -3 times the square root of 3 times +3 times the square root of 3. So that's kind of how you guys kind of get it all set up, your very first step, and then you just go ahead and just start multiplying and simplifying where you can. So if you guys will just take 1 minute and multiply in my case, the blue, the green, the orange, and the brown, and then you guys can take it down another step, and then you can start to see if there's any like terms that you can add or subtract. So take a moment and pause that, and I'm going to pause my video and add on the next step. All right, so I went ahead and I took it another step further, and I multiplied by 7 times 7, got 49, and then the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which you just multiply the 2 radicands together. And I'll simplify it on the next step down. Once again, with the greens, I multiplied 7 times 3 and got 21, and then my inside, my radicands, 2 times 3. Over here in orange, we have a -3 times 7, which gives you -21, and then I multiplied my radicands together. And you can do this once again because they all have the same index. They're all square root of 2s. So if like this was a cube root or if this was a 4th root or something like that, they were all different. You couldn't do that. So then my radicands were 3 times 2. And then lastly, in the brown over here, you multiplied your -3 times 3, which gives you -9. and then I multiplied together everything on the inside. So 3 times 3 on the inside. So now I'm going to go ahead and simplify it. Just that last step. So you guys make sure you can go ahead and simplify down and see if you guys can go ahead and simplify this one. This one won't be like the last one we did for example 2 or even for example 1. If you notice, these were written, you couldn't combine any further. They were kind of messy. They were not like singular or single constant solutions. They were just expressions. So this one will actually come out to a single digit number. So take a moment, pause the video. I highly recommend you pause it, try it, and then see what we get. All right, so when you went ahead and tried to multiply these and simplify these radicals, hopefully you guys were able to get 49 times 2 is 98. And then whenever you guys looked over here, like, oh, this is 21 times the square root of 6. This is a negative 21 times the square root of 6. That 21 and that negative 21 will cancel. That will become 0. You can combine them because they both are like radicals. They both have a square root of 6. So they become 0. They cancel out. And last but not least, negative 9 times 3 is now negative 27. So whenever you combine 98 minus 27, you guys should get a final solution of 71. So this actually simplified down all the way to a single number, and that is possible. So they might get really messy like this one right here, where they are like expressions right there, or even like this area problem right here. So they might be expressions like that, or they might just be a single solution. So I want you guys to pause the video if you need to, go back through. I gave you guys 3 examples here, plus the ones from your homework or your assignment yesterday. So you guys have a bunch of examples to go through. You're welcome to use also the additional examples here, right here on the assignment. So you guys have 2 assignments today. You have this one right here. You guys are going to work on, doesn't matter the order that you do it in, just get it done today. You have problems 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 to do, which is just like what we just did, just multiplying. And you guys should work on those 2. If you need me, you're going to come to my post office from 10 to 12 and also between 2 and 4. If you need me, ask the questions now. And you also have an exit ticket. An exit ticket is graded, and I need to see how you guys are doing on this. So here's what you guys are going to do. I'm going to walk you through it, and I'm going to show you how I want you guys to do it. So that is not it. You guys are going to go to right here. All right, so these are your instructions. So you guys are going to go to a website called Socrative.com. You're going to go to, I guess, like Socrative Circle, right? Socratic Circle. So it's Socrative.com. Go there. And then you guys are going to go and you're going to click login, and you're going to go to student login, and it's going to ask you for a room name. And the room name you're going to type in is post 98. I need to get your answers. So I need to get your answers. So what I would do is like put your period. So if you're first, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh period, write the number first and then just put like your last name, comma, your first name, like any of those options like that. So then if I sort through answers, I can see it by period. I can grade it a whole lot faster. Okay, so if you guys will do that, I would greatly appreciate it. You're going to get 3 questions. The first question is going to say, how do you feel about today's lesson? The second question is going to say, what did you learn today? And the third question is going to ask you to answer my question. And my exit ticket is right here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to you now. This is your exit ticket, and I'm going to show you how to do it online. So your exit ticket question is to simplify. It's just what we just did today. 8 times the square root of 5 minus 6 times the square root of 3. You're going to multiply this binomial to 8 times the square root of 5 plus 6 times the square root of 3. So you're going to FOIL these out. You multiply them. You might get a messy radical expression, or you might get a single number. All right, so go ahead and work that out. I'm going to show you how to go to the website, Socrative.com. So you guys are going to go, let me see which one it is. You guys are going right here. Okay, so this is what the website looks like. So you go to Socrative.com. All right, you can do it on your phone, you can do it from your computer, whatever you want. You're going to go ahead and click login. All right, over here to the right, and you're a student, so you're going to click student login, and then it's going to ask you for your teacher code. All right, and it's on my video, and I'll put it in the assignment, and you're going to type in the room name. And remember, I told you it was, what did I tell you it was? Post 98. All right, it's actually perfect because that's actually when I graduated high school, right? Post 98, and you're going to hit join. I don't remember if it's cap sensitive. All right, and then you're going to enter your name. Remember, I told you to do it with your period first. So, like, let's say your period 4. So do 4, and then you can type in, let's say, what was one of my options? Smith, George. All right, done. Then it's going to ask you the first question. How well did you understand today's material? This is question 1 of 3. You can say, got it, pretty well, not very well, not at all, whatever you guys feel. Remember, I don't usually expect you guys to get the lessons right away, so I'm just going to say not very well. And then you guys are going to type something here. What did you learn today? It's like your learning objective. You can put whatever you want, multiply radicals, something like that. All right, and then real quickly answer the teacher's question. So if you can type, like if you got a square root, and I'll go back, your problem is right here. So let's say you got something like, I don't know if you can do a square root on your, this is what we usually do. Let's say you got the square root of 8. You do it like that, would be fine. However you want to write square root, you might be able to, let's see, go to like an image and type it and then copy paste it. That might be an option. It just depends what you're using right there. It depends what kind of, like, whatever you guys are using. So you could do square root of 8 plus the square root of 12 or something, okay? And then you'll hit submit, and that's it. It says you completed the current activity, waiting for the next activity to begin. Okay, so try to think of a way to do the square root symbol if you need it. You might have a constant solution, but if you need it, I usually just do SQRT. And that's it. And then you guys can just log out. And then you guys are done, okay? And then I'll get the answers right away, and that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull back here. So you guys, remember, don't forget, you guys are answering your exit ticket question right here. And you guys are also working on the problems in green for today. So one quick exit ticket, and then these are your problems for today. All right, and then you just have 3 problems for Friday. All right, you guys, I'm going to post this in the assignments, and then you guys don't forget to ask me if you have any questions or if you need any help today. Make sure you do it today. I'm not going to help you with the exit ticket, but so make sure that you guys are doing the green problems first. All right, you guys, have a fab. I hope to see and or talk to you guys later. Where is that? There you go, right there. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Bye.